everybody. Happy September 1st. Can you believe we are entering into the final months of the year? The summer seemed to have gone by super fast. Don't know about you guys, but it did seem to kind of all of a sudden September is here. But anyway, happy September 1st. Welcome everyone to the channel. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I thank you for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. This is our sewing buzz where we talk about pattern releases, maybe some new notions, maybe some sewing challenges, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and all sewing related or crafting related as well, because I have talked about handbags and knitting in a couple of these. But then as usual, we have our SND sewing chat. And so yes, I'm very excited about the chat today, and so I'm gonna switch it up just ever so slightly, in that I will leave at the bottom of the screen, there will be chapters, but there will be just one chapter, because really a lot of the things I'll be talking about before the sewing buzz, the SND chat start, will go pretty fast. But the SND chat for this month is pretty long, but it is such a good one. Such a good one. And so again, I just want to thank you all for tuning in today. For those who are new to the sewing buzz, like I say, I usually talk about pattern releases, different things of that nature, whatever's going on in the sewing and crafting community. I like to bring it to you. This is September 1st. I will have one for you October 1st as well as November 1st, and that will be it for single interviews. I have a special S&D chat for you for December, and it's all because as you all know who follow my channel or anything, I will be ramping up. Well, I've actually already started doing a lot of things behind the scenes, but ramping up for BHM Pattern Designers Challenge 2022. So I'm very excited about that. And so yeah, after the December S&D sewing chat, and I'll say this again in December, but there will not be another S&D sewing chat until April 2022. And again, it's just because pretty much the end of the summer, but it really gets heavy for me in December through March for the BHM Pattern Designers Challenge. So I will not have enough time, enough bandwidth in my day and in my schedule to do all of that. So after December, you won't get another S&D sewing chat until April 2022. And I thank you all for your suggestions, those who've emailed or left comments below, or you would like to see a chat with this person or that person or whatever. Thank you. Continue to leave those in the comments. I am making a list of those. So yeah, so stay tuned, of course, for October 1st, November 1st, and then the special one for December 1st. And then yeah, then we'll take a little bit of a break until April 2022. So let's go ahead and jump into today's sewing buzz. So first off, I am going to go ahead and tell you right now who I will be chatting with, because the buzz, the little chat that we had and all the buzz that we're covering, it was a lot. And I will be, and I'll pop up pictures here, I will be chatting with the absolutely phenomenal That's So Monica. And so for those who follow Monica over on social media, you know she is the creative behind one of the partners for sorority wear, which they are doing a it's the what is it called? I'll put the hashtag on the screen here, but it's a prompt every day in the month of September, and so you'll be able to share in that. So I will leave links to everything That's So Monica sorority wear. Of course, you all know she recently launched Living the Ankara Life. And so and of course, you know, she's the creator behind Black Makers Matter. So a lot to cover, and I will be yeah, just if you want to skip on over to the interview and then come back for the new pattern releases, feel free to do that. But yeah, the chat will be a long one today, so I wanted to get that out the way for those who wanted to just skip on over, because yes, Monica is most certainly fabulous fabulous, and we covered a lot, and how she's managing. We're not going to call it balancing, we're going to call it managing her time between all of these different projects and different ventures that she's involved in. So let's go ahead and jump into the sewing bus. So for those who did not know or didn't know, I did 2 sew-alongs in the month of August. These were sew-alongs that I had been talking about I was going to do on my channel forever. But I thank you all for your support, and I thank you for all the lovely comments and everything that you have left. And I thank you for all of the emails that I have received. Quite a few people ask me if I have a coffee account or a PayPal me or something like that, and I don't. I used to have a coffee account, but I didn't want that anymore. And the PayPal me, I guess I could, but I'm not gonna do that either. If I wanted to do the sew-alongs because I really wanted to do them. Now, for those who would like to contribute or something like that, if you notice, and it may be at the bottom of the screen on this video, there is a thanks button with a $sign in it. If you click that button, you can contribute whatever you would like to Sew NaturalDane, and it would be most grateful. I would appreciate it if that's something you decide to do. If you don't, you don't have to. But for those who, because I received several emails about having a coffee account and a PayPal me, and so that's the avenue I choose to take. If you would like to give a monetary thanks to a video that you have watched, the sew-alongs, different things of that nature, because yes, we know it takes time and effort to put sew-alongs together. The first one was for the Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H swim gym bag, which I'm loving, and the second one was for the bra, Pinup Girls, the Ingrid bra, which I'm also loving. And so so yeah, if you want to contribute, by all means, you most certainly can. Again, if you scroll down under the video, you'll see a thanks button. I think it's a heart with a $sign, and then you can click on that and it'll ask for your information. I think you pay via PayPal or something like that. But yeah, feel free to do that if you so choose, but make sure you go check those sew-alongs out. And again, I just want to thank everybody for your wonderful comments, support on those sew-alongs. So there is a special charity going on. This is for a great cause. This is a sewing announcement for a great cause. Madi from Madi Sews did reach out to me and asked if I would help spread the word in this project that she has on her blog post, and I will definitely link to the blog post below, and I will look down to make sure I get all the information right. But it's a charity event called Project Dress a Girl, and it's hosted during the month of September, where the sewing community gathers to make dresses to donate to the ambassadors of Dress a Girl Around the World International. It is driven by sewing community here on YouTube, different YouTubers. I know they also share on Instagram. There will be information on patterns, resources, all of that good information. So this sounds like a fun and worthwhile cause that you can definitely help in during this time. So yes, it is hashtag Project Dress a Girl. I will link to Madi's blog post down in the comment section, in the description box actually, and then you can head on over and check that out. So next is, I want to give a huge shout out. She probably won't watch my channel, but anyway, huge shout out to Mimi G. And I meant to talk about this last month and I didn't, but I saw it left over in my list of things I needed to mention. But anyway, shout out to Mimi G. If you all follow McCall's Pattern Company, which a lot of you probably do over there on Instagram and all of that, but Mimi G is now the, let me get it right, the Vice President of Design and Brand Management for McCall's Pattern Company. How exciting is that? That is so exciting. We all, well, many of us Mimi G is the reason many of us have gotten back into sewing, or even started sewing. You're probably part of her Sew It Academy, or you follow her and Brittany J. Jones and all of that. And so yes, very influential, and she was the reason why I got back into sewing when I got back into sewing a few years ago and ran across her YouTube channel. But yes, absolutely congratulations to Mimi G. Another huge congratulations to the beautiful, and I know you all know who she is, the beautiful Anita by Design. If you did not see already on her website, and I'll post a picture from her website, she has launched her merchandise, and she has actually, it's not just a shirt. I know there's a mug, but it is Give Me Jesus and a Sewing Machine. If that's not Anita, what is? You know, she is a phenomenal woman of God, and just her, how she's been sharing, you know, all know I had purchased her book, but her just sharing her journey over the past couple years with the loss of her husband, and then transitioning to being a speaker and doing more things in the community. It's just been a wonderful journey to follow. And so yes, she has launched her merchandise, so you definitely want to go show Anita some love. And many of you are probably already subscribed to her here on YouTube. You know, she has quite a few channels, or quite a few videos here on YouTube. And so I will link to her shop down below as well. And then of course, here are the pattern releases. So there are a few pattern releases, like I said, not a lot, because for me August was so busy. You all know it was our anniversary and all of that. So anyway, August was a very, very busy month for me. So there were some patterns that caught my eye. I may have missed a few that would normally catch my eye and I talk about, but hey, it is what it is for this month. And so let's get into the first one. The first one is by Dwana DIY Patterns. It is the Lulu wrap dress. And this dress, if you go over to Etsy, you'll read that this is named after her mother for all of the support and everything her mom gives her. But I thought this was a beautiful dress, kind of to round out that summer look and early fall look. You can still most certainly rock this in the early fall, and yes, you can put a cardigan or something of that sort over it. I think will look nice. It has 3 views, so you can mix and match and switch it up. But it's a halter type dress, so even if you all know, for halter type dresses, I have been loving the idea ever since I did the Naomi dress by Style So Me, which this is what I'm wearing today, my Style So Me, the free pattern. This is her free pattern, the Suzanne. So yes, and I've already talked about this and linked to it, so I'll link to the video where I talk about this and you can get all the information. But remember that dress, I instead of they have the tie straps. And so yeah, for halter dresses, you can most certainly switch up those ties and do the tie straps as opposed to just the regular straps. Itch to Stitch came out with the, I believe it's pronounced Spiron tank pattern, and so this has options for regular bust as well as a full bust. It is a partially lined top in the front, and it has a very nice curved v-neck feature and gathers at the shoulder. So I thought those different features for this pattern were really unique for a tank, and I thought it's very easy for this type of tank to really dress it up because you have that gather detail and pleats under the bust area, and it's designed for knit. So not a whole heck of a lot for worrying about fitting, different things of that nature, but definitely read the pattern to know what types of knits to use. Then the Waffle Pattern Company released the cargo vest, which I thought was really unique. Like, I can totally see melding together different fabrications and textures to really do something with this vest. The only thing with Waffle Pattern Company, at least from the last I saw, they didn't have a very size inclusive range. I barely even now fit into their highest size range, which, did I write that down? No, I only put the ranges USA size 0 to 20. But I thought the elements on this vest were so unique, and I thought the possibilities of how it can be switched up, different things like that, the possibilities were definitely endless. And they did come out with a cargo skirt not too long ago too, that obviously those two together will go very well, but again, the sizing is not all that great for waffle pattern companies, and I have not done the research, sorry, to know if they will be working on extending their size range. Hopefully they do, because they do have quite a few nice patterns, but yeah, this one again, sorry, only goes up to so much of a size, and it's not even one I would pick up at this point, because it doesn't come, even though I barely fit into the highest size range. Barely is the key word, and I'm not playing with that. But anyway, the next one are a couple patterns that StyleArc has released, and I thought the names of this pattern was so, when I saw it, I thought that was so funny. It just took me back to Sesame Street, and maybe a lot of you guys thought the same thing, but it's the Bert and Ernie leisure wear, where you have the women's polo top and then you have the joggers, which I don't know that I've seen a woman's polo top like this before. So I thought this was quite unique. Now joggers, you know, there's several jogger patterns out there, but I thought, at least for the Bert knit top, I thought that it was really really unique. And so yeah, that is something that now that we're transitioning into fall, many areas across the country are getting into fall sooner than others, and so maybe this is something you want to put on your sewing list. And then they released this beautiful dress, the Belle woven dress. Now all of the details on this dress from the line drawing are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the shirring and the back waist has some shirring for ease over the bust and the waist, and then that V-neck, it's just beautiful. And then of course you have what was my notes, the double front waist yoke, which I was like, that is so nice. It just looks, the silhouette of it is just absolutely beautiful. And of course it has the option for the sleeves and everything like that, and of course it has the different options going on with how you would style it or what version you want to do of it. But I thought that dress was beautiful. I can totally see that in something drapey, like a of course a viscose challis, but also a viscose crepe would be nice. Yeah, definitely beautiful. And I talked about this pattern in my big news video, but I'll just mention it again. Remember, Rebecca Page released their wrap cardigan, which is a really cute cardigan. That, and one of the features I really liked about this cardigan was the fact that it has a button closure or a tie closure in the front, and it has the narrow hem bands for around the neckline. And so I thought this was really cute. So if you missed that video, that is something else that will be great for transitioning into the fall months, winter months, depending on if you want. You could, you know, do short sleeve or do the long sleeve, whatever version. And remember, Rebecca Page patterns, this also comes in the mini me version. So if you have a mini me out there, then you can also make a version for the toddler as well, for children. And remember, Rebecca Page patterns go up to a size 5XL. And so that will be an affiliate link. As you all know, I am now a brand ambassador for Rebecca Page patterns, but I wanted to highlight that one again. And then Jennifer Lauren Handmade came out with her jumpsuit pattern, and so the Ferris, I believe is what it's called. And I thought, now you all know I'm not really a jumpsuit person. The one jumpsuit I made and love is that Caladium jumpsuit that I have made. Now every other jumpsuit I look at since then, I'm just kind of looking at the line drawings and thinking, how I'm getting in and now, how's that looking? But I thought this looked really nice. It's not form-fitting, it's loose. It has that gathered waist. You can make it in for shorts or full pants length, but it's the thing is, it doesn't look suffocating in any way, and it looks like it will have like a chambray. You can definitely see it in something like a chambray, a lightweight chambray, even a lightweight denim, something that has some movement to it. But I thought this was really nice, a very nice pattern. So I wanted to share it with you because I know many of you love jumpsuits, and so you may very well love the Ferris jumpsuit. And then we have this beautiful dress from Closet Core Patterns, the Pauline dress, which is very nice. And remember, Closet Core Pattern does have their extended size range now, so definitely go out there and see which pattern set that you would range that you will fall into. But I thought this was another pretty dress with some very pretty style lines. You have options with the back opening. It's kind of it definitely skims the body, but still has a very beautiful drape to it. You can, it looks like also for this you can go sleeveless or add some sleeves, and it has the straight skirt. Looks more A-line to me, and then of course you have that one gathered tier as well that you can add. So yeah, very pretty. I thought that was a very pretty dress. And then of course the Sew Over It, now I know I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, the Neum skirt. And again, another great transitional piece. Actually, if you were, based on the patterns I went over today, either that It's the Stitch top, the Spirant tank, or the for sure the wrap cardigan will go very cute with this skirt. As a matter of fact, a great transition piece, and according to the pattern, it is very beginner friendly. And so it has the nice gathers, nice and flowy, and then you have the again another V-shaped yoke to go over the silhouette of the hips and everything. So very nice. There, it looks to be very easy pattern. So, and I want to say, so over did they do, I think Lisa already did a SewALong for this over on the Sew Over YouTube channel, so definitely go check that out. And then you have Ivy Patterns. She was on the roll through the month of August. She actually released several patterns, and I'll just pop up pictures, and of course I'll leave the link to Ivy website so you can go check them out. And I want to say that you can get all 4 of these patterns in a bundle, or you can purchase them individually. And so I thought these were definitely summer, but also very fall appropriate as well. And so she has the Gia dress, the Abby, the, I believe is Lainey, and the Love. So I thought all of those dresses were absolutely beautiful, beautiful, long, flowy. So if you really like maxi and long dresses, different things like that, for sure go check out Ivy Patterns. And then we have, and I believe this is our last one, yeah, this is So Much Jazz. If you follow her over on Instagram, you know that she posted her release of her aunt's, I believe, I'm probably pronouncing the first part wrong, but I'll just call them Marcel shorts. And these, sorry about that, my camera cut off. Now I thought these were really cute, and because the way they kind of flare out, so if you are more hippie, depending on the fabric that you use, I think it can really drape over your hips really well, especially if you have a smaller waist. And then on top of that, remember for her pattern, she does have 2 different size ranges. One goes from size 18W to 30W, and then her smaller size range goes from a size 4 through 18. And so definitely check out the size range. But I thought these were really nice, and you can also play up now these type of patterns that come out during this time of the year. People think, oh, why would I buy that, the summer's ending? No, keep in mind, for patterns like this, you can also switch up the fabric. I believe this is, yeah, this is woven. And so think about a lightweight wool that you might be able to do. Now you might want to line it depending on the type of wool that you use, but then if you wore leggings with this and some a certain type of top or something like that, you can definitely get away with wearing this into deep fall. Now, if it's a blizzard outside and all that, yeah, I understand. But think outside the box when you do see some of these patterns released where you're thinking, oh, that's summer, I'll wait for that until da, 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 da. Think about how you can switch up the styling and how you can switch up the fabrics used on those patterns, and then you'll be able to, of course, transition and maybe wear them longer into your fall winter months than you normally would. So that is it, everybody. Like I said, the first part with the pattern releases and the latest buzz going on in the crafting, sewing, DIY community would be short because our SND sewing chat is a doozy today. So I thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. Again, don't forget to click on the description box below. Everything I mentioned today will be listed in the description box below, including the link to this video also will be down in the description box below. So thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for Sunday. I have a haul, a mini fabric haul for you coming up on Sunday. So thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in today. Enjoy SND sewing chat, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Thanks, everybody. Have a blessed rest of your week. Bye. All right, everybody, welcome to NaturalDane Sewing Chat, and today we have the beautiful, lovely, always fashionable Miss Monica from That Sew. Monica here with us today. I am very, very excited to talk to her. I mean, I know many of you are already following her, but if you're not, this woman got everything going on while still holding it down as a mom, a wife, and working a full-time job as well. But yes, in these parts, we do believe in multiple streams of income. Isn't that right, Monica?
That is correct. Multiple streams, generational wealth, building that legacy. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for joining today. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. We have a lot of ground to cover. So for those who catch the sewing buzz every month, you always know, usually the person that I'm speaking with that month, chatting with that month, we do a collaboration, and we share what we've collaborated on, and then you get the full review from me on the following video day, which today it is September 1st. So you'll get a video, obviously, the following upload day. But this time, it worked out beautifully because we have a lot to talk about with Monica. Monica was busy this month, so we didn't get a chance to do a collaboration, which is perfectly fine because we want to dive into all things what Monica has her hands in. She got her hands in a lot. And so we want to just hear all about it and love on her. And of course, I'll leave all of her information down in the description box for you guys to go ahead and follow. But let's start there. Monica, where can everybody find you out in these interwebs?
Well, thank you for the wonderful introduction, first of all, Natita. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. So you can all find me at that's THATS, SewMonica.com, and that's on all my social media channels, including YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, as well as Pinterest.
All right. Okay, everybody. So that's where you can find her. And trust me, you definitely want to follow her. Now, one of the things I told Monica already that I figure a lot of people would be interested in, I have my, standard questions, but then there'll be some other things that I'm just going to pop in there, and who knows where our conversation will lead us. But Monica, you have to share, how long have you been sewing? How long have you been, or who taught you, and how has your journey been to this point? Because honey, those fashions you put up on Instagram are fabulous.
Thank you so much. So actually, it's an interesting story. So I come from a lineage of sewists. My mom sewed for years. My grandmother, I have uncles that sew, aunts, even my dad. Growing up in Ghana, West Africa, sewing is something that everyone learns to do through vocational school. So my mom sewed, and I remember memories of that. But I love fashion and I love design. But it wasn't something that my parents wanted me to go to school for. So ended up in the health field and then transitioned from that. That's a whole long story. But I had strict African parents. I was like, you're not going to school to be no fashion designer, you know? So it's kind of like, no, I'll just sketch. So my mom passed away in 2003 from brain cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And the 10th anniversary of Mother's Day, like the 10th anniversary that Mother's Day came around, I realized I wasn't feeling that connection with her for whatever reason. And I felt like, I mean, of course I see her in my dreams. That's my mom, you know, I will forever have memories, you know, but I wanted to just do something to commemorate our relationship, to honor her, you know, and I decided to take up sewing classes. So in 2014, on that cusp, I decided to look up sewing classes here in the Dallas, Texas area where I live currently. And I stumbled upon the Plano Sewing Guild, Plano American Sewing Guild. And there was what was it, like a special program that they had going on where it was about a 6-week class where you meet twice a week from like 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and you'll get membership to the ASG and then you'll learn to sew, just the basic. So of course, loving fashion, loving Project Runway at the time, I decided to go to Walmart and pick up a Project Runway machine because it's a Project Runway. That's the only reason why I bought it. So I took that. So basically, to answer your question, I've been sewing for about 8+ years now.
Okay.
And you know, I started at the Plano ASG and it was just learn to do a little pillowcase and a bag. And then it was like you had your first project, which mine was a tulle skirt. And I'll just say that they don't ever do tulle skirts again. They tell everyone for first projects to stay away from tulle because of me. But that really started it. I will be honest, I learned to hand sew when I was young. So my sister and I would sew our garments, hand sewing, because we went to Catholic school. So we had to always make sure our hems were always good and our buttons and everything. So I knew how to sew on buttons and stuff like that. So sewing was always there, but I never tried using the machine until recently, until, you know, about 8 years.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yes.
Wow. And I'm really intrigued that you said even your dad knew how to sew.
Yes. I mean,
wow.
Yes, and my uncles and cousins, 2 of them live in Atlantic City, and one, he sews for Atlantic City for the casinos. He does the wardrobe and stuff for the casinos there. So
wow, I love it. This is very interesting. Wow. So what part of the sewing, because like you said, with classes like that, they really teach you to focus on the basics, pillow cushions, different things like that. What spurred up in you? I know probably maybe that fashion background that you said you've always been interested in, but what spurred in you then to just then focus on garment making?
Well, so I knew I wanted to do garments. I wanted to make my own clothes. You know, with my family, you know, I would send back fabric to Ghana when my mom and my family would go back, and my cousins, and, you know, would make me things. I always knew I wanted to do garment sewing. So to learn the basic, you know, stitch the lines and the pillows. I'm like, yeah, I don't mind doing some curtains, but I want to go for the gusto. I want to make all the fabulous things that I see on the runway in the magazines, and I want to be able to make that. So that's what the motivation was. And then to see like sketches that I have like made and drawn, and just years, you know, just thinking about that, because I've always loved gowns and flowy dresses. You know, I just love these long, luxurious type of, you know, blouses with the bows and big sleeves. That's what I wanted to make. So that kind of fueled it for me.
And I have to tell everybody too, and I told Monica this as well, that what I enjoy about seeing her and other creatives on Instagram that I follow, one thing that stands out to me for those things that Monica puts up is the creativity that she brings to that piece. For example, if there's a whatever the pattern is, indie, commercial, and there's a look on the cover that you see the illustrations and all of that. But then somebody like Monica put a whole spin on that thing, and you never even thought to sew up that piece like that. It is just something that I didn't think of that. That texture that you added, that different fabric that you added, that lace or that trim or whatever that just took it to a whole nother level. How does that work? Because like I told Monica, people like her have been influencing me over the years, not just recently, over the years, that, okay, you don't have to think so in the box. When this pattern, you see a pattern, whether it's indie or commercial, you don't have to just sew it up as you see it. You can think outside the box. But how do you go about doing that? What for you, what has that process been like?
That's honestly, it's okay. It's so weird. And I say weird because it's like my brain starts going like, woo, and I'll say this, it first starts with the fabric. I have a huge fabric collection. I'm in the process now, hopefully September 1st today. All of this stuff will be out of the house and cleaned up, right? Because it's a mess right now. But when I'm usually looking at fabric, that's what kind of starts the creative process for me. I'll look at the lines, the textures, I'll look at, what I can do with it. And I kind of imagine what the fabric is talking to me, and it's kind of telling me, it's saying, I want to be this. And that's really how it starts. Then I see patterns. And when I see patterns, I don't just look at the lines. Well, I don't look at the drawings in the front. I turn around and I look at the lines, and that's where I like put in my mind the styling, how I want to see it, how I see the fabric that I purchase going with that. Because usually when I look at the front, it's not a model that's my size, right?
Yeah,
it's not sometimes I really don't like the styling of some of the patterns on the front.
I agree.
So it's kind of like, So when I turn the lines, I'm like, oh yeah, I close my eyes and I'm like, okay, I can see this. I'll put the pattern next to the fabric and they have to talk. And it's weird. I know it sounds crazy.
No, that's not weird at all. Not weird at all.
I don't want anyone to call the psychiatric ward. I'm not like, I'm crazy, but I'm not psycho, So it's like they have to talk, and that's really how it starts for me. And then another thing, it's like if with my job and the nature of the things that I do, I have a lot of events, marketing things. And, some days I'm like, you know what? I want something new for my meetings. I want something new to wear to an event or function. Or I want something to just go to the lake or lounge around the house in. So it has to be, depending on where I'm going. And then I'm from New York, so fashion capital, right?
Yes.
And I'm always seeing it. And then with both of my parents, they were very fashionable. My dad, he's just Mr. Polo. All he wears is polo. But I remember and recall growing up younger and seeing, the things that they would wear, and the prints, being with African heritage, loving the prints, the culture, the vibrancy. That's kind of how I see those things. So it becomes this like thought process. There are times when I sit and I'm like ready to cut. I have everything laid out. I have the pattern. I had pinned everything to the fabric, and I sit there and I'm like, they didn't talk. I was forcing the conversation. Right?
You were forcing it.
I was forcing it. And sure enough, I will go downstairs, come back, and I don't know what will happen, but it's like the AC blue. I pinned it. The pattern pieces are like off of the fabric, right?
Wow.
Okay, you really didn't want to be made, So then I'll go back to the drawing board, and then I'll find the right fabric to go with that pattern.
Wow, I've loved hearing about that. So, having been being from New York, were you there most of your adult life, childhood, and everything growing up, and then more recently in Texas? And the reason I asked, because I'm thinking that probably framed, with everything fashion and Fashion Week and everything in New York, framed things more concretely for you than maybe Texas fashion.
Oh, definitely. So I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. I also was raised in Ghana, West Africa, from the age of 1 to about 4 or 5, and then I
Oh,
came back. So then I was in New York from there all the way until college. I went to college in New York, but upstate New York. So yes, the fashion week, the fashions. I had the opportunity to work at Macy's on 34th Street, so in the designer shoe section. So I would all
wow.
yeah, I loved it. I would always see the fashion and everything. And, being from the Bronx, of course, back then we were rocking our Timberland boots, our triple fat goose, but fashion had always been a thing. And then seeing my parents.
Right.
Then, from upstate New York, I moved to New Hampshire out of all places for like 3 years. And I will tell you, that I became a Land's End. And nothing wrong with Land's End. And gosh, Eddie Bauer.
Uh-huh.
Scrolling through and I would purchase the khakis and things, but I would have all of my leather, all of my boots that came up thigh high because on college campus I was rocking everything.
That you were.
Yes, I used to throw fashion shows. For the Black Student Union, I would throw the fashion shows and everything. So I would have designers come in from New York. So fashion was always, the New York flavor was always there. So I recall, when they were like, you got to tone it down here in New Hampshire. I'm like, what and they would introduce me. Hi, this is Monica. She's a multicultural, blah, 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 blah. And she helps with the diversity, but her wardrobe. And I'm like, every time I got introduced, I was like, okay, I don't need it to be about my wardrobe because
right.
that first before the education part. So then I was like, okay, that's when I started the Eddie Bauer and the Lansing. Let me just wear khakis and a white t-shirt and call it a day. But still my shoes, you scroll down to the shoes.
Right. You was representing a piece of you, some way, shape, or form. Yes.
Yes. So, and then from there, we were in Maryland for about 7 years. And I was still going back and forth to New York. I was still on the East Coast. And then about 8 years ago, we moved here.
Okay.
I think it's 9 now. The years are going by so fast. 2013. Yeah. We moved here.
Okay. Wow. Oh, I love hearing the history and everything. It helps when learning more about people that you truly do enjoy. And I truly do enjoy your content and everything that you bring. And so because your brain do operate in all these different webs and is able to interconnect things. What is it? Is there anything about perhaps the sewing process for you that you don't enjoy about all of that? Or is there something that you enjoy the most? So give me your pros and maybe your cons of things of sewing, the sewing process.
Oh, that's a great question. So I'll say I enjoy the most actually the sewing part, but really mostly is seeing what I have come up in my mind or what I sketched come to fruition, like the finished garment and being able to showcase that. That's what I love the most. Walking around is, oh, that's cute. I'm like, thank you, I made it. And it has pockets. And then they look like you made it. That look, they're like, they'll sizing you up, making sure. I'm like, you don't know nothing about sewing. What you looking at,
Right.
The part that I don't like, but it's part of the process. It's like the cutting of the pattern.
Oh,
the pinning. It was therapeutic this past year with COVID and everything. I did a lot of paper patterns for Sew Your View. And so that was fun, actually taping those together, which I've dreaded. That's the part, but I enjoy every step from that. So, cause it's
right.
like, I love slow fashion. I'm not the one who, and nothing against anyone who does. I don't need to put up something just to post on Instagram and make it fast.
Right.
I want to enjoy what it is I make. So most of the time in the past, especially the past few years, you really only got maybe 15 makes from me for the whole year because it was the Sew Your View. And then if I had like another project or I had some energy or something, or I had time, I would do something else,
Right.
So I'm pushing myself this time because I wanted to make more of my wardrobe. And because we're working from home, I have more flexibility. I don't have that hour commute, into Dallas.
Right.
So I will say that the pros are seeing the finished garment.
Yes.
The cons are sometimes just cutting in the process, getting there. But that con can also be a positive because you then enjoy what it is you're making and you put that time and effort into it. Like, so now so I'll say this, before, in the beginning, I didn't care what it looked like on the inside. I didn't have a serger. I was just happy. Oh my God. As I'm cleaning, I saw the skirt, one of my first skirts. And I'm like, what the heck were you thinking, girl? I mean, I wore that thing to the Beyonce and Jay-Z concert. You couldn't tell me nothing, okay? But had Beyonce said, girl, that skirt is fabulous. Can I have it? I would have been like, no, ma'am. Not because I'm holding on to it, because it wasn't made well. I remember, since I didn't have a serger, I remember going to friends and asking to use her serger, and I was scared of her machine, so I was just, all like this. Like, well, get off before you break this thing. So it wasn't finished, but I hung it up because it was like, that was my first thing.
A good memory.
It was a good memory. So I'm going to take it apart. I don't have that much fabric of it left. So I'm going to see if I can take it apart and see if I can salvage it into either back to the skirt if I'm able to. If not, girl, I put the interface in. I didn't even bother lining it. So when you flip it up, you see the interface in.
Well, make sure you take before and after photos.
Yes.
You have to share that, because I think when people, we all make these assumptions, right? About people that we see, such as you, and just anybody, it doesn't matter. And we look at their construction detail and look at their end product, and we're like, man, when I grow up, I want to sew like that. And their stuff is always fabulous. But when you can bring something like that and say, look here, I started here. This is where it started, and it has taken me time to get here.
Yes, it doesn't happen.
And that's a good learning observation for people who think that it may happen overnight, or you've always been, 100 on everything, No,
not 100 on everything. And also, I feel like with sewing, this is also a positive. You're always learning.
Yes.
I just got an industrial machine, so I'm about to learn how to use that, and
which one did you get?
This is with Racoma. So
okay.
I'm a new ambassador for Racoma. So it's part of their Iconics.
Oh, we got some early information. We got some breaking news.
Yeah, so that's why I had to clean the sewing space, because I needed to get the new machine in the room and it to look nice and feel different. I always go through this transition around this time, because this is around the fall, is around the time my mom passed away. So it's like I go through this sort of transformation, metamorphosis, like, change the hair, change everything. So right now, everything, I can't even turn my camera on because that's how much of a mess it is.
That is okay.
It's all blurred for a reason.
I got you. That is all good. Well, congratulations on that. And speaking of which, I'm going to ask you this question, then ask you, because for those who follow Monica, y'all know she got her hand in everything. Like I already said, wife, mom, work, full-time 9 to 5. But then we already know she got all these other things going on, from That's So Monica, which is a brand all by itself. Of course, we have sorority wear that she's also a part of with other partners. Sew Your View, also living the Ankara life. And then you still do, or at least I've seen you're still, yes, look at that, in Sewn Magazine. And so before we get into all that stuff that you are a part of, I am curious, and I wonder if somebody else is curious. I know you've posted, because I do read people's captions, but I do read your captions. And I know for some pieces, you've self-drafted things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do a lot of self-drafting in combination with patterns? Like maybe you'll switch something, draft something different to go with that pattern. And the second part of that is, do you ever see yourself coming out with a pattern?
Ooh, okay. So yes and yes. To answer that in short, so I'll explain. Yes, I do love the self-drafting process. And I know some people go back and forth with because I remember being in a group and it was like, you're not self-drafting, you didn't necessarily go to school to learn this. And self-drafting is this process, and it's not just taking the pattern and placing it on and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to put a definition on anything. Things evolve, because we don't know sometimes what some designers do. They have a basic block, and from their block, that's what they go ahead and utilize to draft new things. So there are moments, yes, when I see the patterns again, I look at the lines, and then if it's something that I'm like, this is what I want it to be. The pattern doesn't quite hit it for me, but it's the base. So I go ahead and I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I like the sleeves on this pattern. Boom, take that. I like this detail. Take that, but then now it's kind of like I know my measurements, I know my body type. I have my own block. So I'm able to kind of like, you know what? Let's work this out. But then there's some things that it's just a little, you in your mind, you're like, yeah, it's going to be this way. It's going to fit. You just put it on the mannequin and you kind of cut it here, but then you have to get it off the mannequin once you cut it, right? But then it's like putting it together so that it flows. So I still heavily use patterns, but I've gotten to the point that I use patterns that I know work for me and
Yes.
that I can easily adapt to. So like the sleeve, I love billowy, sleeves. I have a larger arm. Like this pattern, if I did it again, I wouldn't have done the drop shoulder. I don't like that for my style, but I love the fabric. So I'm like, you know what? It's okay. It works. But I've gotten to the point that when I do the sleeve, I'll widen it or the length. I'm 5 feet tall, but I don't.
You a shorty. Look at you.
Yes, I am.
I would have never guessed.
And nobody, and it's not an illusion. I remember meeting people and they're like, you're not that so Monica. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm Monica. And they're like, you're too short. And then one person was like, girl, I thought you were like 5'7", you 5 feet. And I'm like, I never said I wasn't, but I don't sew for petiteness. I sew for my body type, but I love wearing heels. I love long flowy things. So you're going to get that even if it's dragging on the floor because I have on my wedges and my heels that make me about 5'4", 5'5", right? But for the most part, no, I'm short. I'm really short. So I'll tailor things, but it's because I like the look. You make it for your body type. I'm not going to say, well, yeah, I'm 5 feet, so let me look like 5 feet.
Right.
If you do that, you do that. But for me, I want to elongate. So I'm going to make those long pants, so when you walk up, she's short, but she doesn't look, yeah. So yeah, I love to do
you
that.
Pull it off because ma'am, I'm 5'7" myself. And I easily would have thought you and I were the same height.
Girl, no. When people meet me, they're like, girl, you's a little bit. I'm like, I know, but I'm mighty. I'm big. What is it? I'm small but mighty.
Yes.
They always make fun of me in projects. So that's the first thing I warn people. Hey, before you meet me, just so you know, I'm short. And they're like, why do you say that, girl? You're fine. And then when they meet me, they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, I gave you a warning. I did. So in terms of patterns, yes, I am looking to come out with clothing patterns. I do have one pattern, which is a bag pattern that I did last year, the boho tote, summer large tote bag pattern that was fun doing. I'm good with graphic design, Illustrator, Adobe, all of those things. So I went ahead and I made my tote bag pattern because I can draw it out. And then it actually was funny is I had a similar bag in college that I love. I still have the bag, but it's all dingied up. And I was just like, oh my God, if I could just make this, how, so I just thinking about it and it's okay. Let me do this. Let me come up with this. And then that's how that happened. And in that process, it's a free pattern, by the way. In that process, I thought about something with Sew Your View, the monthly SewALong we do. And I was just like, you know what? It would be great if I could support and we could come out with a pattern and things that, of course, it's like, that's my style, that's my fashion, right? I hopefully people would be interested, in it. So yes, that's something I'm working on. I don't have a timeline yet, but it is something in the foreseeable future.
So that means watch. So that's Monica, her grid and what's going on. And that being said, let me go ahead on and transition. I don't know which area to talk about first. We already know that Monica is a brand by itself, just by itself. Tell me what came next after that Monica. Was it Sew Your View? Then that's when you spun off with the Sew Your View?
So it was actually Project Sew. Yeah, it was actually Project Sew.
Oh,
and in-person SewAlongs, or sewing meetups.
Oh yeah, because they used to. I remember them being posted on Instagram. That's right.
Yes, and because of COVID, we stopped meeting in person, but every now and then we get together online, and we will get back once everything clears up. But yeah, Project Sew, because through my job, the city of Dallas, they knew that I sewed and we wanted to bring in some free programming for the community. So they're like, hey, you sew, do you want you and your sewing friends and this local ASG to get together and meet and you guys can sew on a Monday? And I'm like, who has time to sew on a Monday? They're like, girl, it's not. So I said, okay, let me throw it out there. But the ASG, they're older women. A lot of them are retired. So people would take off once a month and they would come and they would sew with us. Sometimes it was 2 people, sometimes it was 5, 10, and then when I transitioned into a different position, I was able to, I couldn't do the Mondays anymore. My boss was like, girl, I'm sorry, where you going? Yeah, where you work for the city, but where you going? I'm like, what? They used. So I moved it to Saturdays, but the city still supported because I was able to host it at the rec center. So,
yeah. I remember seeing those posts. Yes.
Yeah. So from there, from Project Sew, we were doing various projects. Then it kind of naturally started just doing a fun sewing challenge online. And that's how Sew Your View came along. So it was just like, hey, we're going to post a pattern, who wants to sew it, but sew your own view, since, the big 4 patterns that you would select had various views.
Right.
Sew your own view and let's have a moment, to see how everyone makes their stuff. So that's organically, that's kind of how that started. And that's been going on for some time now.
Right. Yeah, it has been.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. I do remember Project Sew. I do remember that. Wow. Yes. And good. Well, here's the blessing in that, if nobody picked up on it, is that was almost spearheaded by your job.
Yes. Definitely. And they supported 100% because I didn't think we were meeting so once the ASG ended the 6 weeks, a lot of us were like, we want something else. But see, their thing was that was just it was a marketing thing to get members in the door, but it wasn't something where they were like, yeah, we have someone that's going to be teaching advanced techniques. No, you have to, go out, come to the conference, do those particular things. So a lot of us were like, hey, we want something else. So I was just like, well, why don't we? Because my mom was always a connector. She loved doing events, bringing people together. So that's something that I get from her.
Yeah.
So I remember hitting up the ladies in an email who were part of the ASG and saying, hey, do y'all want to meet at Joann's and let's just sew? And they were like, yeah. So that's how it started. We didn't call it Project Sew or anything. It was just like, let's just meet up and sew at Joann's because you can get the classroom for free, for a few hours, and then you talk about fabric. And that's what we would do. We would just get together and sew, because I realized I didn't have a space. I was living in an apartment because we had just moved here, and I only had this little corner desk area. So I oftentimes like, oh, I wish I had a space I can cut, a room and this. So that was part of it, going there and being able to utilize the ironing board, all the machine, all of the different things. So then when my job saw that, like, hey, you do this and this is a great program and let's do that. And that's kind of how it started. And I'm so grateful for their support, because then it led me to start it in other cities, Atlanta, and then we were going to Maryland. But then because of COVID, Corona, but hopefully she will be gone soon.
Exactly. And for those, hey, that's living proof right there of the scripture that says your gifts will make room for you.
Will they? Were they? You know what? And I'll say this because I'm a spiritual person. The Lord, He is my savior and everything. And I always put him first. And this past year, especially, and I keep saying COVID, we all had to pivot during this pandemic. But I remember saying to him, it's like, Lord, bless me with an opportunity where in my job, it's flexible enough that I'm home, I'm able to work from home. I don't have that pressure because I deliver, like everything I do, I deliver and get everything done top notch. But I have that flexibility.
Yes.
Lord, allow my talents to speak for itself. Lord, allow me to step out of my fear and truly shine. My mom's name was Shine. That was her middle name.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I named that was her first name, but she has a Christian name and then she has her African name, but Shine was her name and she hated it, but that's a whole other story because people would make fun of her. But allow me to truly, truly shine and not be afraid because I was often afraid because I'm like, I don't do this for money.
Right.
Look, I was on project. I can't charge the city of Dallas. I work for them. That's a conflict of interest, So yeah, even in Atlanta, I wasn't trying to charge. I just wanted to cover the space.
Right.
Because they're like, what do I look like paying all this money for a rental space? Yeah, for everyone to sew for free. And I'm flying out there. My husband's like, are you okay? What's wrong with you? But I don't make anything from this because I really want people to sew, to enjoy the love of sewing. So it wasn't until I started sorority wear. That's a whole nother thing, because then that has become the business part to kind of see that go. I'm sorry, I'm all over with
this. That's okay. I love the history. I love getting that background information because it kind of helps understand, you as a person and your passion and your joy for this. Yeah. And so with that, you have that Sew Monica, then you got Project Sew, which morphed into Sew Your View. And then here comes sorority wear. How did you manage that? You and the ladies. I know you have partners with that line. Yes.
This is our baby sorority. So what's funny about this is I had a quote that I would say, sewing is the thread that brings us together. And I posted that up. I used to do the little quotes on like little sewing sayings a few years ago. And oftentimes, my best friend, Tarsha, she's a Delta. We're both in Delta sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And we met here in Dallas and we became friends. And then I'm godmother for child. So, that
right.
Hood connection. And I actually got her into sewing. So she doesn't sew as often as she would like because, the newborn baby, but, she tries. And then Kiki and Nikki, the twins, which I refer to myself as their triplet sister. I tend to adopt myself into everyone's family. And we would always hang out. And one of the things that we love doing is going to the Chinese buffet. Don't tell no one. So eating is our love language. Uh-huh. So I met them at Project Sew. They ended up coming to Project Sew. They didn't know I was in Dallas until we posted. And I'm like, oh my God, I love y'all. I follow y'all. I didn't know that they were in the area too. So Kiki and I became instant friends. So we were just sitting here, we were talking and we were just eating and all of us. And we said something and I was like, hey, soror, hey, sewing sister, hey, sew sis. We were just like, hey.
Right.
Then we were like, yeah, because I think I had I had something with my sorority on. And they were like, oh, look at you. And they're like, yeah, what would we call ourselves? We were just joking. And I was like, yeah, vroom, vroom. This would be our call. Vroom, vroom. Hey, soror, vroom, vroom. Like, you're pushing your fabric.
Right.
So it was like, wait, what? Yeah, we should do something like this. It was honestly, it was like,
organic.
Yes. It was like a girl. So then I came home and I got in the car and I was like, oh, I remember my dad. Don't go into business with anybody. That's what he says. You've been doing stuff by yourself. I was like, yeah, but I'm doing this. I love it. But this is just organic. It's great. And we would get more people to love sewing. Like that is
right. That's the goal.
Yeah. So we got on a conference call and we would just talk, and it kind of started from there. And then it was like, hey, let's come up with our emblem and shield. And Nikki and Kiki were both in marching band fraternities.
Okay.
So that information and kind of like, understanding of what it means. And then that sisterhood, brotherhood. And then of course with me and Tarsha, both in a sorority that
Delta, yeah.
That's Delta. We have that sisterhood connection. And then the fact that us as friends, and I often refer to them as my sisters, it was just that natural, organic feeling. So we kind of adapted that for sorority. So it's a play on a sorority.
Right.
What we're learning quickly is that the women, and soon to be men, because we want to be inclusive, because at first our thing was just bringing the women together. Let's have girls' night, let's do fun events, things like that. We didn't anticipate COVID would come,
Right.
And our thing with it was the ladies who are involved now, who purchase, who love the stuff. They want that community. They want that connection. They often say, you know what, we never pledged in college,
right.
And we want that. And I'm like, oh, they want an actual sewing sorority, like not just an apparel company. So we were like, we knew we wanted to have sisterhood components to everything. So now that's a whole nother area of focus,
right.
To make sure that we're doing that. So, we'll be having some retreats and in-person events and connections to get people to be able to, to connect with each other. So that's how sorority started. And it's been great. We wanted, like, you can see the ladies that are on our boxes and,
yes.
our cards and stuff.
I have my mug.
Oh, yes. Oh, so do you have the mug with the ladies all around
yes.
it? Okay. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make sure that was reflective of what we see. Because oftentimes, we go into fabric stores or we go into sewing groups and you don't see us, or you don't see people that necessarily look like you. So we wanted to make sure that diversity was big and inclusion in the representation of who sews for us, not just young women, not just old women, not Black, not white, Asian, Hispanic, everyone.
Yes.
So as we develop, you're going to see more of our characters, we say, or the people, the personas that the organization and group details. So hence the men are coming for, the mini collection for the younger kids that want to sew and things like that.
Oh, that is so exciting. So exciting. And that is just one of the many benefits when you are with like-minded individuals, that everyone has a passion for the same thing. And then the goal to really teach and nourish and help others, bring others into who've always had maybe a desire and just didn't know where to start with sewing or what to do. There's this outlet for that. And so, in the fact that you mentioned it being inclusive, all races, men, women, all of that just makes it even more powerful. And I don't want to overlook either, because you help spearhead Black Makers Matter.
I'm sorry. Whoa, I'm saying, yes, I did. And again, that was something that, I get emotional with it because, it was around the cusp of George Floyd's killing. And, with the lack of representation from the brands that we all are either partners with or, have done some things with in the crafting makers community, I noticed, I was like, nobody's saying anything. And not that just needed to put the Black square. Yeah, that could have been suffice for some people, but it's like, you have people, say something. This is something that has affected the entire world, not just the United States, but the world, right? And you have people coming out from other countries that are standing up to just say, look, we need to see how we can help end systematic racism, knowing that it's not that it's always going to continue, but there are ways, if we start every day to try, there's some ways that we can at least work to break that.
Yes.
Right. So I just sent a DM. Honestly, it wasn't like, so I sent a DM to a few people and I was like, you know what? I was hoping that they would reach out to their respective communities. I was going to come back to my community and some other people that I'm also close with to do something. So I just wanted to do something for the weekend to show support, to get us all rallied together. Again, I'm a connector. I'm an event planner also, that's also what I do with my job for the city as well. So it's nature and natural for me to always want to bring people together. So I was just like, hey, let's figure out a way that we can do something. So it was a 3-hour conversation, and we were on that call crying and just really breaking through, because most of them, I was that common denominator. Some of them have never followed each other, not because of anything. They didn't know of each other. They never spoken to each other before, but I knew everyone except for Julian. He was suggested by someone. I said, you know what? Yeah, let's bring him along, and it was just honestly, girl, was supposed to be Wednesday. We figure out what we're going to do Friday, post Monday. We continue to do stuff because I'm always doing work within diversity and equity and inclusion. I continue to do that. That, of course, I was a multicultural educator and coordinator in New Hampshire. So we didn't know who we were starting. So now 1 year later, we go through our ups.
It has taken off and has the meaning of it, the growth and expansion of it has really touched a lot of lives, and educate. And it continues to educate.
Yes. And I think, it was very interesting. And the reason I get emotional with it, Natita, and I'll be very honest with you, is because it was hard, because again, so you see how it was just organic. I just contacted a few people. Some of them I never really truly interacted with, but I knew some of them had platforms, and it was like, hey, I'm going to contact you because I'm planning on reaching out to other people. So the day that we posted the Black Makers Matter, it's starting, and everybody, I was looking online and everyone, and we grew within a day or two to 10,000, and then went up. It was just like, wow, this is needed. Not to say that there are no other groups that are catered to Black makers, Black sewists,
right? Of course,
there's so many, and we are working with them. But I think for me, I just saw this as, okay, Wednesday to the weekend. I didn't know that I would be leading this organization, that every month, we would have meetings, all of these particular things. I also think the members also didn't know this. So we've had some who've had to leave because they're like, hey, I don't have the capacity. I just thought, again, this was the weekend. I can't go anywhere.
Right.
Unless I say, you know what, this is it, we're done. But I think that would be a disservice to our community. So there's so many things I have planned for Black Makers Matter, but I know that it's going to take the level of commitment, like full-time, not with my part-time and all these other things that we listed here today, right? Not the fun stuff. This requires that level of commitment to put forth. And I think that that's why I get emotional, because I know that if I have that full level of commitment, it could be so much more than it is. But that's just me in knowing that. I feel like we've done a lot, and the changes that we've made, and I'm sorry, this is the Monica that comes in from the Bronx. Can nobody,
all right,
nobody take credit for what Black Makers Matter has done in the short amount of time.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that, in no disrespect to anyone, because I've had, you got the,
of course.
I don't do that. That's when no, because it's like, I don't need to sit there and get the accolades. I don't need you to put an award or plaque up, give recognition and credit where credit's due, but don't come in and try to, I'm not for the cause, but then on the back end, you making your own deals and doing whatever it is that you're doing for the cause that we ain't got. That's a whole nother story. But I will say that we see it. I mean, the companies that we met with, it was the learning experiences, the companies that we continue to meet with, and then just even being invited to talk at these different conferences and stuff.
Yes.
Where people are actually hitting me up, sending me messages like, great, these are great conversations. How can we have more? We want to really try to be inclusive. Diversity doesn't ever end. If you want to be it,
Right.
you have to continue to do it. It's not,
Absolutely.
so I'll say that, to say that, yeah, Black Makers Matters, that's my baby. And I pray that it continues to flourish, and with the commitment, because I think I will be giving it that full commitment very soon.
All right. Well, I'm excited to hear that, because like you say, we know that at least in our community, we come across these issues many a times in our lifetime, right? But with the pandemic, it was forced to open everybody's eyes, because nobody was going anywhere. You were watching TV, you were focused in on the news, you had to pay attention to what was going on. And then for those who didn't know how to, maybe their thinking process may have been different, they have been educated, enlightened through all these various avenues, and know how to approach conversations differently, different things like that. And so, yes, Black Makers Matter definitely contributed to that. So, and I know you called it your baby, but this new baby, girl, go ahead, tell us. Go ahead. Yes, you do need to fan yourself with your own product. Tell us about that Ankara Life. Now, I know I'll say this, because again, I do read captions. I try to make sure I read captions, but I remember when you posted about it and you were talking and you mentioned, and not direct quote, but you mentioned how, there's certain things you've always wanted to do, but it was kind of afraid to do, and everything like that. And you decided, you know what, I'm going to do this, and stay tuned. And then here comes that Ankara Life. So give us a little bit of background on that. And because it's only been a baby now for, September 1st, when everybody's seeing this, it's inside of a month of still growing.
And yeah, it's still growing, and there's so much planned. So it started 7 years ago. We had purchased this house, and my ideas come to me in the shower. It's weird. I don't know, like the steam will come onto the shower door, and it's like the Lord is talking to me with I know sometimes TMI, right? And then I'll just start writing stuff on the glass. And I was in the shower, and I had my eyes closed, washing my hair, and I'm like, living the Ankara life. And I said, what? He said, living the Ankara life. And I just wrote LTAL. So I was like, okay, remember that, living the Ankara life. And then I went about my day. Came back, home. I was like, oh my God, I wrote something on there. I forgot to, it's gone. I mean, unless you put the steam, you'll see it still etched in. So 5-6 years ago, because right now, with COVID, I skipped a whole year. So I know I'm saying 5 years, it could be 6, it could be 7. I don't count last year for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to merge my love for sewing, for DIY, and African culture. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, I want to do, again, events where people can come and enjoy the African food, the culture, purchase items and things like that. And then also get a chance to just enjoy African prints and learn about them. And so I was looking for event spaces and just everything, and working in events here in Dallas. I was just so busy with other things that I just kind of put it on the back burner. So it wasn't until finally last year, I had to go back home to Ghana to take care of some things for family. And I was taking part, I got home and I hadn't been home in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And, because when my mom passed away, went for her funeral, my grandmother's funeral after, and then my father-in-law passed away. And all within the span of 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
So we went for my father-in-law's funeral, and then it had been 10 years since I was home. And you're talking online to your family, you don't feel it. And I didn't feel it. Moving and changes and everything I got going on, the year just goes quickly. So when I was home, I was like, oh my God, it was just the feeling that you get when you go to Africa. I don't know how to explain it. First of all, it's a natural thing because that's my home, right?
Right.
But for those of people who may have never been, there's a feeling, because I explain it to others and they also say the same thing. It's this feeling when you go to Africa, you feel like you're home, the air, the music, the culture, the food, everything. And I was just like, you have to live in the Ankara life. There's no reason why it's sitting. You've allowed Project Sew Your View, sorority wear, Black Makers Matter, plus other things that I have going on outside of the sewing community. And you haven't done this. Why? What's wrong with what's going on? So I came back, and through Black Makers Matter, I had met a young lady from a company, AFCI, the Creatives organization that we met with. And she and I just got to sitting and talking, and she was like, wow, you do a lot of things. I think you would be great for this program. She has a friend named Britt, from Brit & Co. And they have a self-made class, and she had just did it, and she won the prize where she got to pitch her business. And she said, I think you would be great for this. So applied for the scholarship, and I got it. So
wow.
So myself and my best friend Tarsha, she applied too, and we got it, and we took it. It was a 12-week business class to get you started with your brand, learning your mindset and changing things. And I had a coach, and my coach, I talked to her just like I'm talking to you. I'm telling her, oh, I do this and I do that and I do this. And she's like, okay, does it make you money? Are you happy? And I'm like, I'm doing it because I love it. What do you mean? I don't do it for money. I'm doing it because I love it. And she's like, yeah, but what about your family?
Yeah.
What about when you retire?
Real talk.
What about these particular things? Monica, you are passionate about this. I'm listening to this, and you said you sat on this for 5-6 years. You're passionate about this. You speak of it so easily. Why aren't you? And again, that's that fear that comes in. It's like, I don't know if anybody's going to buy it. Well, I don't want people to think, oh yeah, she's just doing this so she can make some money. Then my coach was like, but I make money. I'm a good coach. You're going to utilize me in the future, which I am. This program costs money, and you applied for it. You would definitely do it again, wouldn't you? And I'm like, yeah, I got the scholarship, of course, but if I had the means, yeah, I would pay for it, definitely. Well, what about this person, this person, this person? Like, she looked into the field that I'm in, and this is your hobby, but why are you not? So when she said those things, it was like everything that used to come up in my mind, everybody else is monetizing, they're doing things. And then my husband, ring. Here you go again, buying a flight to where? You going to Maryland? Where? Who's paying for who? What? You just going there, and they're not even covering your flight. It's not. And I'm like, well, I just charged $20. He's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, but it's I'm not trying to
even your husband saw that value. Yeah.
Yes. And I didn't see the value in myself. So it's even hard now talking to you and saying this to you, because it's like, yeah, this is something that I enjoy doing. This is a craft. And there are people who turn their crafts, their passions, their crafts, their hobbies into profit. There are groups that, in our community that show people how to do that, So I sat down, I'm like, it's not about the money. But then I had to pray on it. And it was like what you said earlier when we started talking, is the Lord provides you those gifts, right?
Yes.
And those gifts are for you to utilize. He didn't give you this talent, yes, to give back, but he also is providing you a way, because you can't sustain your life on all you're giving.
Yes.
But what about your family? What about your life? What about all of these particular things? So don't go in it to say, yeah, I'm doing this to make the money.
Right. It can't be right. It can't be about the money making.
Yes, but it's about what you're wanting to do, what you're passionate about, and then that will come. Yes. So with living the Ankara life, I always say rich auntie vibes, I'm a rich auntie. And that's something that, we all have we all have that auntie that, that comes in and you're like, hey, auntie, can I get a little extra? She's something, or she just walks in with this air about her, this luxurious, just everything. And it was like the rich auntie vibe was a vibe. It wasn't necessarily about the money. It was more about the passion, the fact that you're living your life. You're rich in your life. You're rich in your passion. You're rich in what it is that you want to do. Yes. And so when I went back, I was like, okay, you know what? With my coach helping me, she's like, start small. So I have so much in store for living the Ankara life. I have it all out because this was 5 years plus in the making. But within the last 3 to 6 months, I was able to all that 5 years and add on like everything, for what's next. So I'm pacing myself because I don't want to exert myself too much. But I started with the fans because everyone will always remark on how much they love my African print fans. And I remember going to a conference in Atlanta for So Much Talent conference, and I had some fans and they were like, oh my God, where did you get these? And I said, oh, from Ghana, so I had just sold some to people, and they're like, hey, at cost, like, here, yeah, sure. And then when I went back, I was like, no, I have to do it. So I was curating the collection, the bags, the fans. I have a jewelry line that will be coming out of custom jewelry that I am designing, but I'm having it all made in Ghana, West Africa, to help, give back to the artisans and the makers there. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. And I have not purchased anything yet. Mm-hmm. And of course, by the time I start looking at stuff, I'm always late because then here come your post. We're sold out.
I tell you this, I went live and I called my best friend and I'm sitting here and I'm just watching the thing. I said, what's happening? I said, oh my God, I only have about 3 fans. Like everything is sold out. And I was just like, wait, what? I mean, one lady, she bought like 15 fans because she'd been waiting. She's the one that was like, hey, I've been waiting since last year. You said you were going to have some. What's going on? So she bought 15 fans, but everybody else came and just, showed up and showed out. And it was like, you were scared to put yourself out there. Why? But
and look what happened. And now you gotta replenish. And especially that there was it was striped, but I think the main colors, if I'm remembering correctly, the bag was purple. It had a lot of purple in it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what I want because that's my color.
Okay.
And here I see on the website in your post, sold out. Don't worry, it's all coming back.
I just hit up my cousins are there. My uncle had passed away, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you. I was supposed to go to Ghana for his funeral, but it just with everything going on and the Delta variant, just a lot. But I have everything being curated because it takes time. And I want my things to be different from what you would see on the local street vendor, so when you see you may have seen me in Ghana and I'm like, this is my bag lady. But the bags I'm getting for you guys have been custom made with choices, with things, taking their time to make sure the handles are leather crafted handles, that are handmade. You'll see, the quality in it, even down to the fabric selections. That's all me. I'm not just going and like, hey, just give me this. No, these are the fabrics. So the new fans are coming, the new bags are coming, but of course it's limited, but I'll make sure that ahead of time.
Thank you, especially if you got some of that purple going on.
You know what? I think I do.
Purple. I just fall all over purple. People post purple stuff, and I'm like, I'm on the computer, like, I gotta. If I see it in time, I don't, like you say. You're not worried about posting like on Instagram all the time. I'm not on Instagram and stuff every day. So by the time I see stuff, it's like, it's long gone and I've missed the opportunity. Then I have to put a reminder on my phone. Yes, I'm old. I put reminders on my phone that'll pop up like go back and look at X, Y, and Z.
I do too. So it's something about those reminders, because if I don't have that on my phone, on my desktop, on my computer, on my Outlook as well, and then also a little notepad, I will miss what I need to get done and do.
Yes. Well, Monica, I tell you, it has been a complete joy speaking with you. And for those who don't know, Monica know, I initially approached her last summer. That was before Black Makers Matter. That was before sorority wear. That was before living that Ankara life. It was before all of that. So for her to still be able to make time for little old me over here on YouTube,
I love you.
I am so appreciative, so appreciative. And yes, I'm so appreciative, and I thank you so much for your time, because I know your time is valuable, and I definitely appreciate it. There is value, if no one ever told you, there is value in all of these things that you have given birth to, because it is really helping many in the sewing community. Everything from that's so Monica with the project, so all the way to Sew Your View, Black Makers Matter. I mean, everything. It really is showcasing your passion and your joy for what it is that you do. And listening to the Lord when he tell you it's all right to monetize these things. That's why you have these gifts and talents.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natita. And you know, I love you. And I always want to support the Black History Month pattern making that you do. I always try my best when because you bring awareness to some designers and pattern designers that I've never, may have interacted with. So I hope to be on that list one day too.
Yes, ma'am. I'm always looking. I'm always like, okay, who got something going on? And I'm always looking.
Well, thank you again also for this opportunity to share. I love talking to people because I can talk, but just to learn more about other people as well as to, talk about the things that I have going on. Because I wonder, like, how do I do it all? I don't know. But I'm passionate about it, so it doesn't seem like work,
Right. That's what I say too. And I'm not even doing, I would say, half of what you're doing. I have a lot going on as well, but that is one of the things that people say, well, how do you find time to do all that? When you have passion, like true passion, you're not chasing money, you're not chasing followers, you're not chasing things like that. It's inherent, and it's just one of those things. You just get joy out of it. And those things that I'm sure you're like me in many ways. I've learned of those things that I do have to pass off to somebody else, that I will have to invest in for somebody else to do. Like my website recreated and all this different. I paid somebody to do that. Could I have done it? Yeah, but I'd probably been clunking around with it for like a year and a half, and it wouldn't look maybe how I really wanted it to look. And so you have to know what you need to invest in and allow somebody else to do. But those things that you really are passionate about, you hold on to them, and you keep pushing and keep giving birth to it.
Yes, definitely. Thank you again.
I appreciate it. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed our interview today, our little chat. Like I said, I will leave links to where you can find Monica on all of her social media. Monica will be sharing, if I miss anything, I'm sure I have all of it, but everything from That's So Monica, Black Makers Matter, sorority wear, Sew Your View, living that Ankara life, and anything else Monica wants to share with us, those links will be down in the description box below. But any closing words before we close it out?
Thank you so much for allowing me to have this opportunity to share on your platform. Thank you for the wonderful questions and having me think and feel comfortable. And then just also, I just want to share, like, if there's anything that anyone wants to do, go ahead and do it. Don't let fear step in your way, and don't let anyone feel or say like, okay, you can only be in this one box. So if there's just whichever you're going to do, put your passion behind it, do it well, do it with the Lord. Always put him first with that, and just go out and shine. Stop dimming your light. No more dimming our lights. We are shining. Okay.
I love it. Well, thank you, Monica. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next video coming up. And that'll be a reveal of some sort, but you'll see it then. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.